All right, welcome back, Florida Football Insiders Podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed our chat with Matt Murschel, talking all things Central Florida. Now it's time to go a little further south in the state of Florida. We're heading down to FIU, the Panthers. Year 2 of Mike McIntyre, coming off of a 4-8 record in 2022. They were one of the few teams that played in week 0 and played very well at La Tech, but came up just short. And then they follow that up with a victory last Saturday night at home versus Maine to get to 1-1. And no better person to talk to about all things Panther football than the voice of the Panthers, AJ Ricketts. AJ, welcome to the podcast, my man.
Yeah, excited to talk FIU. Thanks for having me on, and looking forward to chopping it up about FIU.
All right, tell me a little bit about your history. How many years is this for you at FIU?
Man, this will be the 7th now. That flew by. But year 7 now. Joined as the play-by-play guy in 2017, and it's been a fun couple of years, and hoping we can be part of a year where we're back in a bowl setting by the end of it.
All right, before we get to the football team, give me a little career path of you. I always like to know how guys like you get to where you're at now, and give the audience a little career path of AJ Ricketts.
Sure, man. I mean, it's ironic. I went to school down the road at U Miami, ran track and cross country there. Ended up in Wilmington, North Carolina, which was a lot of fun. Another beach town, coastal town, ACC country, and got to cover UNC Wilmington basketball, the NCAA tournament, and a lot of ACC stuff. But man, I always enjoyed play-by-play a bit more, to be a part of that, be in the broadcast booth, be chronicle the game as it's happening, and have our own preparation process and execution process, kind of like the players, not as much depending on us though.
Sure.
But in 2017, the FIU job opened up, and was fortunate to be able to join the program, and been a lot of fun moments through the years. So right now, I alternate between mainly FIU, but also will do some work for Apple TV with MLS Season Pass. Nice. And ACC Network Extra for some U Miami games. So it keeps things busy down here. But man, college football season's the prime time. It's what the most eyeballs are on, the most interest, the most investment, and so a lot on the line when college football comes for every team, and excited to hopefully chronicle another good season.
I want to know, you mentioned MLS. Give the audience a little sense of the whole Messi phenomenon down your way. They've been playing great since he got here. I mean, obviously they win the League Cup title, and just the euphoria of having Messi. Just give the audience a little sense of what it's like to have Messi in the neighborhood.
I mean, Miami, man, it's been the center of the sports world this year. Like, all of a sudden, between what Jimmy Butler did, getting the Heat to the finals, and the Panthers making the run to the Stanley Cup finals, and then that was
the Marlins are competitive.
The Marlins started getting good, and then that was just apparently the precursor for the greatest soccer player in the world coming to our backyard. So it's been so much fun. I keep telling myself, telling my friends, we need to go to a game here soon. Like, we have to find a way to get ourselves to a game. Like, let's just spend a couple $100s and just get up there. Obviously the tickets aren't $8 anymore, unfortunately, right. But I think it's been worth the investment for everyone who's gone and seen a lot of the magic of Messi. So that's pretty cool. It reminds me when I was in college, and LeBron was here. You just, hopefully you don't take the greatness for granted when it's there, every week. So we'll definitely.
And you only know he's only going to be there a couple of years at most, right. Probably. So you might as well take advantage of the opportunity to see the guy, and he's an all-timer for sure, and such a world legend around the world in club football. So, all right. Yeah. So let's get to the roster. Give the audience a little sense of Coach McIntyre. Year 2, obviously we knew he was head coach before at Colorado, had some success there. Went to Ole Miss as a defensive coordinator, but now he's back and being in the head chair there. Give us a little sense of Coach McIntyre and his kind of coaching philosophies and coaching style.
Yeah, Jason. I mean, what Coach Mac does is just build programs. He knows the formula. I mean, I think there's very few coaches in college football who you can say took programs from scratch and built them into real formidable teams. I mean, Colorado, it seems more feasible now with Dion there, but for a long time, like, he had such a great he did such a great job. Colorado was in the Pac-12 championship game, like
Yeah.
in 2016. Like
Right.
people forget that they were a top 10 program. Like Colorado at that point in time. Like, are you kidding?
Right.
San Jose State, they were thinking about folding the program, like no
Right.
more football at San Jose State. And he came in there and turned them into a top 25 team. Like those are not easy things to do. And so he almost won National Coach of the Year twice. I know he got it once, and I think it may have been one Coach of the Year award and then a different Coach of the Year. So it wasn't the same overarching Coach of the Year, but there were some that were given to him even at San Jose State. So he knows the formula, and he's on track to doing that here again at FIU. Look, it's on the surface to a lot of people, 4
Tough
and
job.
8.
It's a tough
Yeah,
job.
yeah, tough job. And 4 and 8 last year doesn't raise a lot of eyebrows outside of South Florida, right? But you look at where the program was, and Butch did a lot of great things. But it had reached a point where it was one win in 2 years. The 0-5 COVID season, and then the 1-11 2021 campaign. So to go from 1 win in 2 years to 4, it very easily could have been 5, maybe 6, depending on a few different bounces. I mean, that was awesome, exponential progress from 1 year to the next. So internally, everyone around the program feels that momentum, knows the step forward that was taken. Hopefully, that can be a little bit more external and nationally recognized moving forward this year. But he knows how to do this, and it feels like this is the latest chapter of that.
So speaking of that, you mentioned the kind of the roster reclamation project of the roster when Butch left and he started that process last year. Give the audience a sense and the fans a sense of how active were they in the transfer portal this last year? How many guys did they bring in transfer wise related to high school kids? Give us a little roster kind of breakdown of transfers versus non-transfers.
Yeah, it's tough every year, and who knows when we'll see changes to the structure, whether it comes from the NCAA or whatnot. But we're seeing it. Whatever Group of 5 program you are, it seems like some Power Fives are going to take away some of your better guys, and it seems at the same time now every year there's going to be some Power 5 guys that, for whatever reason, that role hasn't worked out there. They want to be a little bit closer to home.
Yeah.
Mac talks about the South Florida guys, whether maybe they're Iowa or Nebraska, and they have that first winter.
Yeah.
They go through a couple of winters, and maybe they're not where they're at on the depth chart, and being close to family becomes a bigger priority, and getting some of those guys to come to Miami. So we've been the beneficiary of that in some capacity. I'm thinking of who came in from this past off season. Shamari Lawrence, that's a great example, right? Our starting running back, a Pompano Beach native, spent some years in South Dakota, some successful ones as well. Nearly ran for 100 yards in the season opener last year at Kansas State. Wanted to take the jump to the FBS level, felt he could play a bigger role. And so now he's back in South Florida. He's got a lot of friends and family coming to his games. He ran for nearly 200 yards in the season opener.
Yep.
That's a classic example of a success story there. He wasn't a Power 5 guy, but went way away from Miami and came back. So, our starting tailback's a great example. So, look, it's fascinating. We're in this world of college football where we don't know what it's going to look like in 5 years, whether it's regarding transfer, eligibility in the portal, out of the portal, conference realignment. But right now, you could transfer, you could play. And so we've got to use that to our advantage, whether it be bringing talented players from the FCS in or Power 5 guys that want to get back close to home as well. So Mac knows that. The staff understands that. We had some tough losses in the portal, whether it's Tyrese Chambers, our leading receiver to Maryland, Sean Peterson, a great edge rusher to UCF. But it's, I think the best staffs realize that that's going to happen. And so they did a good job getting in the portal themselves.
And this, I mean, the hotbed that Broward and Dade County is for high school football, even when Miami and Florida State and other teams, Alabama, come and get their guys, there's still plenty of other guys in those 2 counties within a 50-mile, 100-mile radius that FIU can pick that might be 3-star kids that are maybe a little undersized, maybe not quite heavy enough, that can be productive players for you guys.
That's a good point, right? With how much teams are relying on the portal now to stack their rosters. that might leave a little bit more possibility, right,
Yeah.
in terms of
High
getting
school kids.
players from high schools here, especially in South Florida, where it's so fertile recruiting ground, that you may not have been able to get before. So that's a dynamic that continues to be explored for a lot of schools. But I think our starting quarterback, and we'll probably talk more about him, but Kewan Jenkins is a great example. Nearly was at Auburn. Wanted to play in front of his family here, where he was a legend at Miami Central, and man, he had a big fan. He had a big contingent at the home opener the other day, and man, that's what I feel FIU can really do a good job at. Get these high school stars from South Florida and pack the stands with their supporters.
And the beautiful thing is, again, you and I both know this. If they're big players at FIU, they're going to get drafted. Guys like T.Y. Hilton come out of FIU. If you're good enough, it doesn't matter where you're playing. There's enough pro scouts, especially in the state of Florida, that are scouting. If you're good enough, even if it's at FIU and maybe the team doesn't have the team success, you're going to get noticed and you're going to get scouted, and you're going to have plenty of opportunity to get an opportunity in the NFL.
Yeah, we've seen it. We've seen it recently. He got hit a little bit by graduating around COVID, but Maurice Alexander has found his way to the league, and he had his first pro reception with the Detroit Lions the other day. He was our converted quarterback that became a receiver.
Yeah.
He's in the league now. My broadcast partner on Saturday against North Texas coming up, Jonathan Cyprian, all conference defensive back, played 7 or 8 years in the league. You mentioned Ty certainly as well. He's probably the highest name recognition sort of guy. James Morgan, our quarterback from a few years ago, got drafted and continues his pursuit. So by all means, it is certainly a factory to have that potential to move forward.
Okay, give me a couple guys on offense other than Kewan you just mentioned. Give me a couple offensive guys to be of note, whether it's skill guys or an offensive lineman here or there. Give me a couple guys that when you're watching FIU football, hey, watch this guy. He can play.
We have to mention Chris Mitchell now. I mean, because he just tied Ty and I think Tyrese. Yeah, Ty and Tyrese with for the school record and receiving yards in a game on Saturday. Okay. 201 receiving yards on Saturday. So when you're in the company of Ty and Tyrese, that's pretty good. So he had his best game as an FIU Panther this past weekend, and so we're hoping that continues to spur him forward. Jalen Bracey has been a guy at the wideout spot that's had some big games for us before. Antonio Patterson's our second string tailback, redshirt freshman from Murfreesboro, around where Coach Mack has spent a lot of time as well. And he had a touchdown in the season opener on the road, tough physical running back that we think can do good things alongside Shamari. So those are a couple guys that at the skill position spots that I'm excited to see moving forward. But yeah, Chris Mitchell was dynamic. A pair of touchdowns on Saturday, tightly contested too. The first one was not an easy catch. Second one did well to bust some coverage, but it was good to see the receiving game see some success. I know the season opener was tough. Everybody knows the stat, 4 passing yards in that opener. Kewan passes for 292 on Saturday. So things were corrected this past week.
You guys run a traditional spread offense, really up tempo, or are you guys a little slower? You guys really fast?
Been interesting to see this year. David Yost came in, has some air raid experience, Texas Tech to his background, mentored Jordan Love as well. He was out west, and against La Tech, we actually went a little bit slower, and that was purposely done. Try to take away some possessions. I don't think we only wanted to run 44 plays by the time it was all said and done. We had a bit too many 3 and outs in the second half, but it was a slower tempo game to your point. Whereas last year we were a little bit more up tempo, not afraid to do that. I think the staff has shown some versatility depending on who the opponent may be. I think I remember last year, against UTSA and that high-powered offense, we certainly went slower than we were used to and tried to give Frank Harris as few possessions as possible. And it was working for a while, just couldn't get the offense going like we wanted. At times last week, I thought we went pretty fast. It was one of those situations the replay was still going while the next play began because we didn't anticipate that tempo. So we'll have to be sharp with that. But they've shown some versatility. It'll be interesting here on Saturday against North Texas.
All right, let's go to the defense a little bit. Give me a couple names and give me are you a blitzing defense? You more of a 4-3, 3-4 defense? Give a little perspective on the defensive side.
Yeah, you typically see a bit more of three down linemen with an edge rusher showing. You're trying to disguise coverage. Certainly, our most impactful player defensively, it's appeared to be Donovan Manuel, our starting middle linebacker. I think he had 15 tackles in the season opener. Forced a fumble on Saturday. He's just all over the field. It's been nice this year to see, the linebackers picking up the majority of the tackles. Rather, it felt like for a while it was a lot of the secondary that was our leading tacklers, and that's usually never a good thing. But Donovan Manuel, Reggie Peterson's also the linebacker spot. He's a former walk-on, and I was talking with our defensive coordinator Javon DeWitt, and I asked about Reggie the other day. I said, does he feel like a former walk-on still? Do you trust him? Like where are you at with Reggie? And he referenced like the first week that he was the coach and brought him on as a defense coordinator. Reggie came to his office and said, "Coach, I'm going to make you trust me. I'm going to make you trust me." And Javon said it before that season opener. He just walked up to him and was like, "Man, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you." How like he has had to earn every rep. Yeah, every opportunity has not been easy on a guy like Reggie Peterson. Has made him work for it. But he's gone from a walk-on to a very trusted starting linebacker. So stories like that are cool to see. I'm really confident with the linebacker position, and we've added a little bit more depth and size on the defensive line as well. So hopefully that can be something that pays dividends. It did on Saturday. We had a 3 sacks, including one on the final drive to help take Maine out of field goal position. So that's shown through. That shined through in the end.
Very good. Very good. Are you listening to AJ Ricketts, play-by-play voice of the FIU Panthers? We're here on the Florida Football Insiders podcast doing a little FIU preview. If you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button on your podcast platform and drop us a review as well. We'd love to hear that. AJ, tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter and X or whatever we're calling it these days.
Yeah, I keep reading. I read whether it's the Journal or the Times. Every time they refer to it, it's like on X, which used to be known as Twitter. I'm like, I guess the AP standard is now X. Pretty simple. AJ Ricketts, 2 T's. Same on Instagram. Same on TikTok. You on TikTok, Jason? Have you made your way over?
I can't say that I've got a TikTok account. I'm on the gram. I'm not on the gram.
There
I'm on
go.
X. Not on TikTok yet.
That's perfectly acceptable.
Because my dance skills just don't add up, man.
Hey, we got to know our strengths and weaknesses. Right. We got to know them.
What did you said you were a cross country runner?
Ran cross country and track. I did. Yeah.
Did you grow up in the Miami area?
No, I grew up as far away in Florida as you can be, but still be in the States. So up in the Panhandle, up in Pensacola.
Okay.
It's essentially South Alabama.
Yeah,
but, 10 hour drive away. Yeah, you get it's a beautiful area of Florida. Just not close enough to ever take a trip home in college.
Talk about staff changes. You mentioned new offensive coordinator. Any other significant staff changes on the staff?
No, it's been good to have some continuity at most of our spot. Offensive coordinator David Yost, defensive coordinator Javon DeWitt, both back for the second year. So I think that's obviously ideal to have some continuity in the offense. Obviously we have a first-year quarterback in that spot now, so he doesn't have as much time with it. But I think Keyjuan Jenkins is going to do just fine in this adjustment. What's so impressive, talking with the coaches and just being at practice and watching them, like there is already a level of trust with Keyjuan making checks at the line of scrimmage, with him seeing something and making an audible, making a check to his receivers. Because that's what he did at Miami Central all the time as he was en route to winning state championships. And, there's times when, maybe it'll have to be reined in a little bit, but they really trust him. The one of the touchdowns to Chris Mitchell, that was an audible. It was supposed to just be a screen pass. We had run it a couple times. It had been successful. So the coaches called it again, and Keyjuan saw something in the defense, made a check and faked the screen pass. And Chris Mitchell was all by himself. And that's awesome. That's his first college football game, and he has the trust and the stones to make it happen. So look, to put it in perspective, I wanted to get this stat out there too, was looking it up a little bit, like 292 passing yards in his first start. James Morgan is looked at as like one of the top quarterbacks in FIU history, right? I saw Sidelines FIU post the top 5 today. Love their coverage, love their account, and they posted a top 5. And I think James was 1 or 2. And I looked at James's stats in 2018 when we had a school record 9 wins and won a bowl game. In the regular season, I want to say James had 2 games where he threw for 292 plus. In 2019, the year where we beat Miami, he had 1 game, so 3 total. And in 2019, which was decent year, bowl game, 1 time over 290, 2 times in 2018 in our school record year. And Kiwan comes in and gets it 292 in his first ever game. I know his I know his FCS opponent, but look, there's it's still a very positive sign. Something that hasn't been done a lot. It's been done 9 times in the last 5 years. So really excited about what he was able to do. And I just think it's only going to get better if he can continue to be protected well and develop his confidence.
All right, a couple more things. We'll get you out of here. Let's go to the schedule a little bit. They go to North. You've already played a conference game. You go to North Texas this week. North Texas got hammered pretty good by Cal, which a lot of people thought North Texas might be in that game and win the game. Talk about just the schedule in general. Any weird things in the schedule? You play at Arkansas real late in the year, which is kind of the kind of a goofy time for you guys to have to play them late, but you do as a money game. Talk about the schedule a little bit and just your thoughts of CUSA.
Yeah, I think North Texas is one of those games that will be a nice gauge of progress from one year to the next. I think Western Kentucky will be the other one. I'm not going to say what the score of that game was last year, but I will say it's probably not going to be the same, right? I'm excited for those 2 games because we took it on the chin at North Texas last year and Western as well. So I'm excited. I think Western Kentucky will actually be senior day if I'm not mistaken. I'm just pulling up the schedule here to be sure. And next weekend we head to UConn. UConn could have been a different game last year. Obviously, UConn ended up having a pretty good season for what the recent standards had been. Just one of those games like UTSA, we couldn't get things going offensively, but we were hanging around. Liberty, look, Liberty's a team new to Conference USA. They're pumping in resources. They've got some recent tradition. That'll be a great challenge on homecoming. Look, I'm excited about our schedule. We go to New Mexico State again. That's a place where we won last year.
Right.
That was right after the big loss to Western Kentucky, and then we go
out. By the way, how was that travel day? To get to Las Cruces?
You try not to complain too much because like, we're so lucky to be where we're at and be a part of the program, and just no one wants to hear you complain about football travel.
That's a long day.
So I have to just be like, shut up, AJ. No one cares. But yeah, if since I've been provoked with the question, it's a long travel day. So if it's a night game, especially.
Yeah.
I'll say I think it was a 7:00 kick. Listen, I'll tell this in 30 seconds.
Okay,
Again, nobody wants to hear me vent about travel.
No, we want to hear travel. We like good travel stories. Come on.
It's just to give a perspective. Like it's a 7 p.m. kick. It's Mountain Time. Game ends. Let's say the game ends at 11. You don't leave the stadium until 12. They got showers, get some food, see their parents, phone calls. We don't leave till 12. When we play New Mexico, we can't leave out of the airport in Las Cruces. That the charter flight leaves out of El Paso on that trip. So if we leave the stadium at 12, we don't get to the airport till 1. We're not loaded and ready to go till 2:30. Let's say it's a 3.5-hour flight, 3:30, 4:35, 36. You add 2 hours for the time difference. So you're landing at 8. It's another half hour to get off. So by the time you get back to FIU, it was like 9 or 9:30.
Straight to the Waffle House or International House of Pancakes for breakfast.
I hope you saw my Twitter. I'm a Waffle House guy.
Okay.
That's the play. That's the place. So unfortunately there's not a lot in Miami, but if there was one right by FIU, it'd be straight to the Wahoo and then straight to my couch, straight to my bed, face down. But again, it's part of college football, man. We all go through it, but it's a lot better after a win. I'll tell you that the La Tech one was tough, but I think the guys were still motivated for the season. You can't have your heads down too much after week 0, right? And head up, move forward, and on to the next game. And they did enough to get the win here against Maine. So yeah, to finish the question, I'm excited for UTEP. That's Vice Night. Got over 1 million impressions on social media for that. Look, there's no, like, we see the Miami Heat do it, but we don't see a lot of college football program like pull off ice, and they're not a lot of can. So I think the jersey, the field, the branding, the apparel that will go with that will be a lot of fun. That'll be a nationally televised game. So there's a lot of fun ones to look forward to.
You guys are on CBS Sportsnet a couple times nationally, so you'll get some good, publicity as far as just exposure around the country.
Yeah, part of that new television contract. I thought Conference USA did a great job with that. Look, there was that availability in October, kind of like Maction, okay, but we'll be the only games on in October on those Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and hopefully that raises some brand awareness and some national recognition for the players that this team and in this league has, and that'll be a lot of fun. And I'm excited to do 3 or 4 ESPN Plus games as well for the non-CBS ones. So we'll have some fun with it.
Last thing, tell the audience where they can find your stuff online as far as the broadcast, and if it's the FIU website, or tell us where we can find the podcast.
Yeah, this weekend will be ESPN Plus, 6:30 Eastern kickoff. When we're on the road, our flagship radio station's 11:40 a.m. Univision, WQBA, 11:40 a.m. And they also have a web stream as well. Nice. So half our games CBS Sports Network, half our games ESPN Plus, and our radio broadcast on 11:40 a.m. So we're just excited to keep rolling. Like I said, we'll have Jonathan Cyprian, NFL veteran, on the ESPN Plus broadcast with me this weekend. Billy Gill from the Dan Levitard show, and a noted FIU alum. He's going to join for some radio broadcast this year, as the analyst. So we'll who knows, like we'll have some, we know we're going to have some fun with that. We may not be talking football the entire time. There's a clip when he joined a couple of years ago on the ESPN Plus broadcast, and it went in all sorts of directions, but it was awesome. It was hilarious. So I'm excited to have him again, and we'll have some fun with it.
Well, AJ Ricketts, what was your fastest mile? How fast were you in the mile, man? Give me your best mile.
Man, I was slow by college standards, man. I think 4:37 was my fastest.
That's slow, bro. Come on, bro. Really?
I was usually doing the 5,000 or the 3,000. I'm excited that I'm going to the Philippines next month to run a track meet. So we'll see if I still have it. We'll see if I still have it. Maybe not. But
some old man track running, huh?
I don't want to use that term yet. I don't want to use that. I'm not ready to say that yet.
The 4:37 is pretty damn good. So congrats to you, my brother.
Thank you. Need the ego boost. Appreciate it.
All right, AJ Ricketts, play-by-play voice, FIU Panthers. Appreciate the time. Have a great year on the broadcast, and we will check in with you as we move through the year. All right.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate it.
You got it.